Alright guys, welcome to your 16th MySQL tutorial, and in this lesson I want to talk to you guys about creating custom columns. Now creating custom columns, wow, that's kind of like a tongue twister. Creating custom columns is something that you can do, and it's going to come in handy a whole lot. For example, say that you were working with your customers table and your boss wanted to send out a letter to all your customers. So, of course, in order to address a letter, at least in the United States, you write the name, the address, and under that you write the city and state. But in order to write the city and state, you typically write it like this. Instead of writing the city and state like that, you write the city with a comma and then the state after it. However, if we go ahead and we look at our customers table, there's no way that we can achieve this because the city and state are two different things, and the comma doesn't come after the city name. So your boss comes in and he's like, Bucky, I need a column that has city, comma, state. And we're like, okay, well, these are the only columns we have to work with. What do you want us to do? Lucky for you, you have been watching my tutorials and you know that there is a way that you can temporarily make your own custom columns. So let me go ahead and use a select statement, but instead of selecting city and state, I'm going to teach you guys about a simple function. Now, I'll go on more about functions later on, but for now, go ahead and type concat. This is short for concatenate, and it's basically a job that MySQL can do that it takes a list of items and it combines those items. Now, the first item we want to combine is city. Now, of course, whenever you're using a list, just separate it with commas. Now, the second item we want to combine is just a string of text. We want to include a comma because, remember, and this isn't MySQL, this is just an example, Adams, comma, NY would be an example of where I live. So in between the city and state, I want a comma and a space. So anytime you are just including raw text, go ahead and put it in between single quotation marks. So a comma and space is the next thing I want, and then the last thing in my list, of course, I need a comma to separate my list, is the state. So again, city, comma and space, state. Now those three things need to be separated with a comma. So now that I'm going to go ahead and select that column, and again, this is a column that I'm going to make up from customers, I can go ahead and run this and check it out. I now created a new custom column that is made up of the city name with a comma and a space after it, and then the state. So Adams is a city. Did I say stity? What the heck is a stity? Adams, comma space, New York. Gary, comma space, Indiana, I think that is. Phoenix, comma space, Arizona. So that is how you can use the concat to pretty much, like I said, concat is short for concatenate, which means join things together. So it takes a bunch of items as a list and it joins them together. You can either join together two columns that already exist, or whenever you want to use text, like maybe a comma, or maybe you want to use a hyphen or a plus sign, you need to include that in between single quotation marks. Now you're saying, okay, well, I know PHP or some other program already, or maybe Java, and in order to reference this column, it needs to have a name. So what is the name of this column? Is it city? No. Is it state? No. Is it concat city, comma, state, comma, whatever? No. In order to give this new column a name, because check it out, whenever you make a table, every column has a name. In order to name your new column, you need to specify that whenever you're writing your query. So here's the query we had before. Select this column, the custom column we made up from customers. However, it doesn't have a name yet, so in order to name it, go ahead and say select that as, and after the word as, you give it a name such as new underscore address. Now, whenever you select this column, it's going to have the name new address. So select my custom column as the name new address. Now, I just go ahead and I messed that up. So let me go ahead and run this and check it out. Now we have our custom column formatted exactly how we wanted it to be formatted, and it now has the name new address. So now whenever we are working with a program like PHP that needs to know the name of this, it knows whenever it uses the name new address to use this information. It's pretty much like a nickname that you can give to your column, so whenever you're programming, you can refer to it. Now, the last thing I want to teach you guys about whenever using custom columns is how to use mathematical operations. So, say for example, you were having, I don't know, like say we had this website and this was like eBay, and you were having a sale of all your items where you were selling them for $1 off. So instead of 204, this would be 104, and instead of 149.99, this would be 148.99. Well, in order to, if we don't want to ruin this column already, let's just go ahead and make an additional custom column with the new price. So let's go ahead, hop over to where we can type in our queries, and let me show you it beforehand first. Select the name and the cost from items. Now what this does is it goes ahead and gives us the name of the item and the cost of the item. So now let's go ahead and add an additional custom column on here, and we will call it sale price or something. So we want to select the name and cost just like before, but now we want to go ahead and select cost minus 1. Now what this is going to do is it's going to create a new column that basically takes the price or the cost of the item and subtracts 1 from it. So our first column is going to be 148.99, the second one's going to be 104, the third one's going to be 13.99, so on and so forth. However, just like before, this third column is a custom column, therefore it doesn't have a name yet. So in order to name it, we need to use as, and then we give it a name like sale price or something clever like that. So now it creates a third custom column whenever we run this query, and it gives it the nickname sale price. So whenever we were to code this with our, whenever we were programming our new and improved eBay, we can use the sale price column and we still retain our important information. Now, a couple things you may want to take note of. Computers have a weird way whenever they perform math on, well, just whenever they perform math, because they don't perform math like a human, and they make these little rounding errors, and I'll talk about more on that later on. But we're going to learn how to format this properly. For example, drop all these unneeded decimal points, and I'll explain to you guys why computers can't perform math in the way that me and you can later on. But for now, that isn't the that's not, I don't want to get into all that right now. I just want to go ahead and talk about custom columns and how to nickname your custom columns. So the last thing I want to talk about is, how I used minus as a simple mathematical operation? You can also use plus, and whenever you want to multiply, you use the asterisk, the symbol above the 8, and that means multiply it by 1, and divide is the forward slash. So again, plus, minus, asterisk for multiply, and forward slash for divide. So, don't look for like a division key on your keyboard or something because it doesn't exist. But anyways, I bet your brains are jam-packed full of information. So please go take a break, go do something else, go watch some TV or something, and when you're ready to finally come back to these tutorials, because I know it's a lot, then you're welcome back. So anyways, thank you guys for watching. Don't forget to subscribe. Don't forget to add me on Google+, and I will see you guys in the next video.